Of an old Bearcat scanner in a 2005 Mustang. There's an opening underneath an aftermarket stereo that has just enough room that I think we can get this in. There's the opening for the scanner. We're going to have to move the scan gauge out of the way and look for another spot for that. But I think we have just enough clearance to get this old Bearcat in. Probably we'll have to make a few modifications though. The back of that cubby isn't quite deep enough, so we'll have to open that up and figure out exactly the best way to get that in there. Scanner is just a little bit too wide to fit into that little cubby. So if you have a $20 scanner, which is all this is worth, and you don't mind a little bit of custom cutting with a Dremel tool, you should be able to get that in. Again, this is an old scanner that's worth about 20 bucks on eBay, and rather than opening the dash up, pulling the wings off, and doing some larger custom install, I'm just trying to see if I can fit this in there. So that's my Dremel cut line. We're going to trim that off. It's pretty soft stuff. A pair of tin snips will start to cut it, but can't quite get an even line. So let's trim that off and see where we go from there. There's my cut line. Here's my Dremel with a carbide bit. And we're going to cut that corner off and then down the side and do the same thing on the other side. Left undo that screw and remove a component or two. So this is my hack job cheap scanner install. The beauty of a Dremel tool, interestingly enough, that's the size I started out with, and I had to put a different one on because it does wear down. That's the trimmed off piece. Here's the new, more streamlined $20 scanner, and we're going to go see if that fits. So with those corners and that little back piece cut out, this slips neatly into the opening here. So we're totally clear. Before, even though that was such a small amount, it would get wedged about here, and it just wouldn't go in any farther. This cubby kind of goes down towards the back. So the very back end of that we're going to cut out by hand. There's already a couple holes in the back there that have been cut for other things. Can't quite see it, but we'll trim that out. And then after that's in, start working on the antenna solution and the power supply. Currently connecting up the power, the speaker, and the antenna. Because I want a low profile look and I don't want extra antennas on the car, I'm going to take advantage of that stub, that low profile antenna for the AM/FM stereo. I don't use the stereo in the car. I usually listen to Pandora or tracks I've got on my phone. So we're going to dedicate that antenna to the scanner and go from there. It won't be optimal, but most of the stuff I follow is in the 800 megahertz range, and the antennas are a lot smaller. So everything's been pulled through, and we're going to get these connected and put the scanner in there. And that's installed. Looks pretty clean. The antenna wires are tucked under. You can't see anything under there. The power and speaker lines go between the plastic underneath here and around. As far as the speaker mount, that's just sitting right there. And we're going off that small low profile antenna for now. Signals are coming in very strong. Most of them in the 800 megahertz range. The last thing that I want to do is to try to finesse and cover these openings. I've got a black plastic fan from an old computer case that I'm going to see what I can do with the edges. Try to neaten that up just a little bit more. But so far so good. The gray face on that scanner kind of matches the interior, and I think that looks pretty good. It's the final look, all installed. As far as the sides, I've got some black foam that's wrapped around just temporarily because I'm not sure how I'm going to totally finish this off. But at least that covers the opening. And this came together pretty well. Again, this is a very old scanner. You can get these on eBay for about $15 or $20, but it does cycle through the frequencies that I would want to pick up. That little antenna seems to be doing a pretty good job, at least for these frequencies. Thanks for watching. And just a view from the other side. Thanks again for taking a look.